Hey guys, my name is Flamebeast, and welcome to my guide to Blood of Steel's World of Mercenaries. This time, we're taking a look at the Czernowit map in the second area called Aujericho. The primary mission objective is to secure the 3 outposts on the map and defeat the enemy's command units. Our 2 side objectives are to kill all the command units within 10 minutes of starting the mission and for no one to be knocked down. A note, you are allowed to be down to a knee as long as you are revived or use first aid to stand back up. You fail this objective if you are forced to respawn by getting down 3 times or failing to revive after a down. Not being knocked down is generally not too hard, so our main goal here is to speedrun the level and claim victory. Here's the quick rundown of the mission gameplay. Your team will spawn here, outside of Outpost A. After a small skirmish with enemy units, you must enter the outpost and defeat the units inside to secure it. From there, you will be moving as a unit to the bridge in the middle of the map, where you will push across, fighting off ground and ranged units. Once across, this team will split up to take both the B and C outposts, which also have units defending them. Once all 3 outposts have been secured by defeating all required enemies, the enemy command unit will charge out of their base and head towards the bridge, where your AI reinforcements now wait. The team will then meet back up and must rout all the units to claim victory. As far as your team setup, this mission is fairly lenient. I have won with both objectives with many different team comps, but it should be noted that cavalry and ranged units will have limited options in certain parts of the mission, so I recommend taking a healthy amount of ground units. Let's take a look at some gameplay and see how you can speed up your runs to get the victory with both side objectives completed. You will start out marching towards Outpost A. 2 ground units followed closely by 2 archer units will be heading towards you. Your tanks should engage the ground units, while others take out the archers and then assist with cleaning up the ground units. Playing as a speedy fighter like Zhang Bao allows you to get around the ground units to the archers, and also places you in good position to help with the ground units. As an archer, you can stand back at the start and use your volley abilities to shoot over the top of your units and the enemy ground units to take out the enemy archers. Be aware that these sword units will be coming in from the right side shortly after you engage the enemies, so be prepared to swap your attention over to them. I recommend only 1 person or 2 at most enter Outpost A to secure it. As you can see, the space inside is very limited, and only a few troops can fight the enemies inside at one time. To use time efficiently, start heading towards the bridge if you see someone heading in to take the base. On the way to the bridge, a large unit will be charging towards Outpost A. You can take out most of these units easily as they mostly won't stop to fight you. There are 2 French knight units blocking these pathways, but these units are not required, so avoid them if you can. The bridge holds a large unit of Jones troops, with crossbow units at the far end on both sides. You will have to defeat and push through these units to reach bases B and C. The crossbowmen can do heavy damage if left unchecked, so it is best to take care of them quickly. Pushing through the ground units can be dangerous, but you have some other options. If you are a ranged unit, focus on taking out the enemy ranged units while your team pushes the bridge. But be careful as they will usually return fire if possible. Here, I use Li Guang's superior range to defeat the archers without taking return fire. If you are playing a cavalry unit or a speedy warrior such as Zhang Bao, you can use this pathway through the water to get around and attack from behind. You will take some shots from these archers up on the hill, but they shouldn't do too much damage. There's also a unit of mounted archers here, so be aware if they engage you. Push through and charge the archers. If you have lost enough troops, be sure to spawn more in behind the enemies to lock them into a melee fight. Once you clean up both sides, your team should be through the enemies on the bridge. If you are part of the ground units pushing across the bridge, be aware that Joan puts down this flag, which gives her units a buff. Destroy the flag if possible, and push through the enemy units. From here, your team will have to split up to take the B and C outposts fast enough. Be aware that these units in the middle of the map are not needed, so avoid them if you can. I recommend always sending 3 people to C, which is the harder base. Be sure to have ground units going to both bases, a tank at each if possible. B team will run into a cavalry unit at the base of the hill. I've seen people swing around the back of the base to avoid these units, but in my opinion this kinda just wastes time, and you're likely going to have to run past these cavalry units anyway. Once the cavalry is dealt with, engage both sides of the ground units and defeat them all. Try to defeat them all outside the base, as they will give you more issues if they move inside. Inside you will find archers with breakable barriers set up. Here is another good time to use the reinforce behind them trick to engage them in melee and clean out the outpost.
We've just taken an outpost.
Once all the enemies are defeated, your job is done here and you can head back to the bridge or over to base C if they need help. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, C team will run into a shield unit and a sword unit outside of the base. Once these enemies are defeated, you have to clear out the outpost. There are a large amount of shield units inside. I recommend having your tank lure the enemies outside by halting his troops like this and pulling the enemies out. With the units pulled outside of the base, your archers and cavalry have a chance to help out, as the tight space inside makes it hard for them to do too much. As you can see in this clip, your archers and cavalry will be fairly limited if everyone pushes inside the gate. Once inside, a ground unit led by Baldwin I and archer units await. The tank should engage the ground units and push up into the archers as possible. Once again, you can spawn your reinforcements behind them and engage them in melee combat. As an archer, you can try moving to this corner of the base and unleashing your archers on theirs. Once the units are dead, spearmen will push into the base from behind. Clear them up and your job is done here.
Commander, they can't hold it anymore.
You can ignore these cavalry units that spawn outside most of the time, so push back to the bridge or help out at Outpost B if needed.
They can't hold it anymore. They're pulling out.
With all 3 outposts taken, the enemy's main force charges out and heads for the bridge. Meet up with your team and take them out. Your AI reinforcements will now be waiting at the bridge, so it usually turns into a big mound of bodies at the north end of the bridge. Units from Outpost C could cross the water again and come up behind their archers. This stops the archers from hailing arrows into your units and allows you to attack the main unit from the rear, closing them in for the final push. Be aware that this bridge to the east is usable, but is defended by groups of troops and is pretty much just a trap to waste your time. Do your best to surround the enemy command units and defeat the rest of the enemies. As an archer, you can use high-angle arrows if available, or get up here and be able to shoot downward onto the group. Hopefully, you've completed the mission quickly and you take home that double side objective victory. Remember, these are just my tips for the level. You can approach it in other ways, these are just things that seem to help shave time off for me. Remember not to go too hard on people if they waste time. Try to let them know if they're wasting time on something or going the wrong way. We've all had our first time running this level and we screw up from time to time. So what are your tips for Czernowit? Let me know in the comments and leave a like if you found the video helpful. This is Flame Beast and I'll see you next time with more Blood of Steel.